Right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. So today I was going to do a little preview of the Crystal Palace game, but Klopp's comments came out last night that were embargoed from the section of the conference that he did, and I find them very interesting, so I thought I'd just do a video on them basically. He's covered four things off: Van Dijk, Fabinho, the finances of the club, and and John Henry's optimism for investment, to come into the club. So, firstly, you've got to take into consideration that when you read these, you get like a different picture. Like, I actually watched the video, and Klopp seemed to be a lot more agitated. He was tapping the table a lot when he was talking, and he was thinking and processing a lot of stuff. And it seemed to really annoy him, did some of these questions, to be fair. And it was the player ones that really seemed to get to him. So, firstly, let's talk on Virgil. So, basically, he was asked about, his Virgil's performances this season. And Klopp's comeback to that was, I think different. People aren't given time anymore. The world is a crazy place. Everything needs time in life. Everybody accepts that for themselves, but not for other people. I couldn't care less about that. And to add on to that, he said, if Virgil had played 2 good games, you would write it's the best version of Virgil van Dijk ever, which is true, because papers need to sell, and how do they sell? They go to the extreme of everything. If Virgil has a bad game, Virgil's lost it, he's not the player he was. If Virgil plays really good, he's the best centre-back in the world. On the first bit, though, about giving players time, I do understand where he's coming from. I really do, because Virgil obviously last season had a different situation where, he had the horrendous injury. He came back, performed decent. Last year, we almost won the quadruple with Virgil in the team. But last season, we had a better midfield. There was more protection there. And I feel like with the midfield no longer protecting the back four, the defence has been exposed a lot more. And maybe we are kind of seeing that Virgil has lost something, which is understandable due to the injury he had. He wasn't ever going to come back and be the same player. He really wasn't. But giving time, yes, because the time we need to give for Virgil, for me, is to bring in better players in front of him. Virgil's not done. If we get the midfield investment, which I'm going to touch on later on in this video, then I think we'll see a really good Virgil van Dijk again. So I understand where he's coming from on giving time, as well. People think that we should just sort things out like that, but it doesn't work like that. Like, these players, we sometimes forget, are human. Yes, they're paid to the high amounts that I really don't think they should be paid, but they are still human, and we do need to give it time. It does look like probably at the beginning of the season we were trying to try something new. It's not worked because we don't have the right personnel, and now he's going back to the way he used to do things, a bit more compact potentially. So yeah, I just feel like we do need to give Virgil a bit more time to come back. But as well, just touching on Virgil as well, he hasn't had a consistent partner all season. He's played with Gomez, he's played with Phillips, he's played with Matip, he's played with Canate. Canate, by the way, looks like he's coming back from injury. Like, he was back in training by the looks of it yesterday. So let's see what happens there. I am willing to give Virgil more time. However, the next player on this that Klopp was defending, shall we say, is Fabinho. And on Fabinho, Klopp has mentioned, when Fabinho is at his best, it is really important to have him there. It can just happen, a drop in form. Everything needs time in the business. Where there is no time, that's the problem. So again, he's touching on the issue of time. Now, for me, I'm a little bit different on Virgil and Fabinho, because Virgil had an horrific injury, which I can understand, whereas Fabinho, I think, has literally just been played too much. We should have recruited another 6 that could have come in and done the business with him. It's also not mentioned in these little comments here, but he did mention that we have other people that can play the 6, like Henderson, but no one does it as good as Fabinho, which I think is true. Like, when Fabinho is on it, he is on it. But it's been too many games this season. Like, how many games are we in this season now? Is it like 20 something? I think, maybe less. Fabinho has not played good in a lot of them games. So that, to me, there's something more going on there, rather than just giving someone time and a drop in form, shall we say. Like, there's something more there. And I feel like come the summer, Fabinho could be one of the players we see go. I just feel like there's some, like I said, I think he's just been ran into the ground, basically. It's nothing against him personally. I just honestly think he's been ran into the ground a little bit. Now, the next bit is that Jurgen touched on the finances. If Liverpool don't make the top four, would it affect the transfers in the summer? And Jurgen's put, this cannot be an impact. Of course, it's influential. This is a summer where we have to be in the market, definitely. Unfortunately, I cannot guarantee top four, but we will try. For me here, Jurgen in these next few comments is calling out and putting pressure on the ownership, which is something different that we haven't seen for a while, because a lot of people are starting to think that Jurgen's a bit of a yes man. But yeah, let me just continue. We have to start doing work early before we know where we will end up position-wise. These things are clear. So they're basically, Jurgen is saying that we can't wait till the end of the season to start making these transfers. We need to start getting transfers in place now. I always have said the same. And then basically someone asked him, does he have any more input on transfers? I have always the same say or no say. I cannot decide all about the money, not one penny. That was always the same. And then someone basically asked him, has the process changed since Michael Edwards left? And he said, no, it's exactly the same. So for me here, he's putting the pressure back on the ownership, because he's saying, I can't control the money. I'm being told what I get to work with. So if I want somebody, I have to go to them. And if they tell me the money's not there, then the money's not there. But in the previous part, he's basically saying that us not making the top four cannot impact us financially in the summer. We all know it will with FSG, but he's calling them out there to me. He's putting the pressure back on them to say, back me. That's my interpretation of this. I could be wrong. I could be miles off, but that's my interpretation of this. And the fact where he says we have to start doing these things early says to me that he knows that there's players out there that would come to Liverpool even if they don't make the top four. And that's the type of player we need in this club. I'll probably get a little bit of stick for this, but if, in all honesty, if Jude Bellingham was to turn around and say, I ain't joining Liverpool unless you're in the top four, then I don't want Jude Bellingham. I don't want a player like that. You know, we've been in the Champions League for the past how many years? 5 years or something daft like that. And this is a bit of a blip. You know, if we were to get the right recruitment in the summer, we'll be back there next season. And Jude Bellingham is, 19? So you're telling me he can't just take a year off if we didn't make the top four to get into the Champions League again? Like, I understand everyone wants to play in the best leagues and all that stuff. Like, I understand all that. But we are Liverpool Football Club. We'll be back there again like that. You know, it's just one of them. So, I personally think he knows players that would come to Liverpool now. Like, they would join us straight away. But it's just finances, and he's putting that back on the ownership for me. That's what I'm taking there. Last bit of it, of this little press conference thing, is it goes on about Klopp's opinion on John Henry's optimism for investment. Basically, that's one of the last videos I did where Henry came out and said that the club's not for sale, but he's looking for investment. So his comments on that was, I'm optimistic when John is optimistic. That's his business. I'm not involved in any search for investors. My job is to make it clear what we need from a sports point of view. Stop that one there because there's a couple more paragraphs. Basically, I think that you've seen a lot of stuff on Twitter that's gone on about how Klopp has seen or spoke with or whatever with certain investors that are going to come into the club. Now, people are saying it, people that are buying the club. Now, could the club still be potentially sold? Of course it could. As I explained in my other video, I think it's all a bit of a PR stunt to put pressure on somebody to come in and buy the club now. But this bit here, I don't believe all these Twitter ITKs that said that Klopp was doing this, that and the other. Like, Klopp hadn't even got time to train the team, so how the hell has he got time to speak to all these bloody investors? Do you know what I mean? Don't make no sense whatsoever, so I'll leave that bit there. Next bit. The club is in a really good place, but around us, a few people are speeding up a bit. You can't ignore that. It's still about finding the right players, which I've just mentioned previously. Thank God in the world of football there's a lot of the right players now. Not all of them are affordable or want to come, but a lot of really good players out there. The only reason I don't like to talk about that too much now is because there's a lot of games left to play. Again, that paragraph there touches on what I've just mentioned about, like, say, Jude Bellingham or other players. He will know players that he's spoken to, which he shouldn't have done because, you know, of the whole Virgil van Dijk situation. But with clubs do it. He'll have spoken to players that he wants now, be that Bellingham, Mount, Vardiol, Mateus Nunes, whoever the hell it is, and they've probably given him some sort of verbal guarantee that no matter what happens, they would still join Liverpool. However, as it says here, it touches on the affordability of them players, and, you know, it goes back again. He's putting the pressure back on the management of the, you know, the hierarchy of the club to back him, give him some bloody money for a change. Well, I don't want to get too worked up. But then he goes on about saying, my God, calm down please. Let's make a decision after the season. As long as we are together, let's support this group together with me. With all we have, that's the one thing I'm asking for, which is basically Jurgen asking us to support the club. Which, to be honest with you, this whole sale of the club thing got on my nerves a little bit. Like, I was doing videos every 2 days, which I'm going to try and get back into doing, but I just couldn't be bothered talking about the ownership of the club anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's just, it affected the me personally. I don't know if it's affected any other fans out there, you know, hearing all this misinformation and stuff like that. End of the day, I will still support Liverpool Football Club no matter who comes in to own it. You know, the ownership would be here for, what, 10 years, 15 years, and then they'll be gone again. And us as fans will be there all the time, no matter what. So, you know, I was born in the 90s. I've seen the club where they've won nothing. I've been around when Hodgson was in charge. Do you know what I mean? So, I've also been there, obviously, when we've won the Champions League 2005 and the treble and stuff like that. But, you know, football clubs flow up and down. You know, look at Man United recently. Yeah, they had like a 20-year dominance, but they've took a dip. They're on the way back because they've had investment. And that's the one thing we've not had. And Klopp needs it. Klopp's going to be around to build this team again. And, yeah, we just need to show a bit of unity. Of course, I'm there to support the club no matter what. Yeah, I get annoyed. Yeah, I want changes there, and everywhere. But at the end of the day, I can't really do much on the change of things. I can just put my opinion out there, and no matter what happens, I'm still going to be there to support the club. You know, so anyway, guys, that's my video for this. I hope it kind of made a bit of sense. I feel like I'm a little bit all over the place with it, really. But anyway, let me know down below your thoughts and opinions on this. Leave me a comment down below. Give the video a like. And if you are new here, subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with everything I've got going on. And I'll catch you in the next one.